yeah, I'm 10, 12 years in, I got 4 MVPs and 4 championships, like, but do I still want to do this shit? You know what I'm saying?
Because you know how hard it is.
Some people say, I want to go play baseball.
Right?
Yeah. And then I want to come back. Or some people say, I'm going to go 22 straight.
Coward.
Your love of the game is still there. I can feel it from you, right? How did that love of the game fuel your career?
It was the basis of my career. My love of the game within my contract, which, you know, I'm pretty sure most contracts now, I'm actually positive now, don't have that clause within the contract where
You had a clause in your contract.
love of the game contract that if I was driving with you down the street and I see a basketball game on the side of the road, I can go play in that basketball game. And if I get hurt, my contract is still guaranteed. I love the game so much that I would never let someone take the opportunity for me to play the game away from me.
Why is ring culture so much more prevalent in the NBA than in other sports?
Yeah, it's funny, I don't know. I don't know why it's discussed so much in our sport and why it's the A-all, B-all of everything.
Do you see the players of today's basketball with that mindset to achieve greatness?
It's hard to be hungry when you have. Simple as that. I mean, if you don't have, you are willing to do whatever you have. So my mental approach was go in, do my job, be the best basketball player I can be, and all the chips and everything outside of that, I had people that were handling that, you know. But basketball court, I'm handling it, right? And now it's like, it's a prerequisite. You know, everybody has to have a logo.
And it's just basketball. At the end of the day, it's just basketball.
LeBron James and Kevin Durant were sitting on a podcast, cracking jokes about Michael Jordan's legacy and laughing like nobody was paying attention. But they were wrong, very wrong. NBA legends were watching every second, and that harmless joke turned into the moment that pushed them over the edge. What started as casual conversation on LeBron's Mind the Game podcast spiraled into something neither LeBron nor KD saw coming. Durant compared Jordan's baseball retirement to LeBron's 22 straight seasons, framing it as if MJ walked away while LeBron stayed committed. LeBron laughed. Steve Nash nodded. And right there, they crossed a line you don't cross without consequences. The reaction from NBA greats was pure devastation. Magic Johnson, Charles Barkley, Shaq, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, even Jordan's own championship teammate spoke out. And this wasn't polite disagreement. They dismantled LeBron and Durant's argument piece by piece. By the time you hear what these legends said, you'll understand exactly why that single podcast moment became the biggest mistake of both their careers.
To have a long career, that's the goal, to be in the league for 20 years. I tell you, that's the goal.
Gardas Gilmore told me one time, he played for Chicago, he said, if you expect to play a long time in this league, you better quit mopping up the floor. And I thought, well, he's crazy because that's what basketball is all about.
Bird takes it away from Wilkins, goes to the floor and gets it up ahead.
If you're going to make $50, $60 million a year and just say, hey, you know what, I'm only going to play 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4, at some point the fan going to be saying, wait a minute, you're charging me this much for tickets. Why in the world should I care if they don't care? A guy making 75, 80, 90, God forbid, $100 million a year to play basketball. Right. And the guy says, you know, I'm going to rest tonight. At some point the fan's going to be saying, hey, you know what, yeah, I've had enough. If this dude don't care about me, and that's the one thing concerns me going forward. Man, we're the luckiest dudes in the world to play basketball. We're the luckiest dudes in the world. If you look at sports landscape, nobody get paid better than basketball players. Nobody.
Durant dropped this line during a conversation about longevity. Some people want to go play baseball and then come back, or some people go 22 straight. The message was crystal clear. In his eyes, Jordan left. LeBron stayed. And that somehow makes LeBron's commitment superior. But there's one enormous truth Durant conveniently left out. Michael Jordan didn't retire in 1993 because basketball got boring or because the league wasn't challenging enough. He retired because his father, James Jordan, was murdered shot during a robbery and left on the side of the road. The man who pushed Michael toward greatness, the man who believed in him before anyone else, was suddenly gone to the absolute peak of his powers after winning 3 straight championships. Jordan walked away. Not because he quit, Because he was devastated, grieving, and trying to honor his father's memory by pursuing a dream they shared together. Playing professional baseball. 3 consecutive titles. Something Magic never did. Something Bird never did. Something LeBron has never done. Jordan accomplished all of that while carrying unimaginable pain, so when Durant smirked about playing baseball and LeBron laughed along, it wasn't some clever basketball take. It came off like they were mocking a man's grief over his murdered father. And NBA legends weren't about to stay quiet. Stacey King, who won 3 championships alongside Jordan and saw greatness up close every single night, snapped back instantly. He didn't sugarcoat anything. He joked that LeBron's show should be renamed the Crimea River Podcast, calling out what he sees as constant insecurity disguised as confidence. According to King, truly great players don't need to tell the world they're great. Fans decide that. Debates happen naturally on TV shows, barbershops, and street corners. But when you spend podcast after podcast reminding people where you stand among the legends, it exposes something uncomfortable about how you really view yourself. And then King dropped the one observation nobody can deny.
LeBron and KD and Steve Nash did their little podcast thing, and they always drag the legacy of Michael Jordan.
What is it called? Was it Crimea River?
Crimea River, I think.
Crimea River podcast? Oh, my God. I tell you what, man, listen. I was watching
Revisionist history, they should call it.
Yeah, you know what, Mark? Great players don't have to tell people they're great.
Yeah, that's true.
You let fans do that. You let people debate it on talk radio and podcasts. You know, players don't have to do that. You know, that we all know you're great. You don't have to tell us. You know, when you have to go around trumpeting that you're great and what separates you from all the other people that makes you greater than them, that's a problem. You know, that's a problem. That's why I say it's a Crimea River podcast, because you're crying and moaning about what they said. And they were kind of sneak dissing MJ. If you really listen between the lines, you know, they were talking about, Kevin Durant was talking about how longevity is more important than rings and all that other stuff. Being in the league basically for 20 plus years shows the dedication and the hard work that you had to do to stay here. But he failed to mention, you know, the load management and this guy only playing in no more than 3 times in his career, you know, 82 games in a season.
Yeah, right.
LeBron's only played 1 time 82 games in a season. MJ 9 times in his career played 82 games, plus the playoffs and championships that goes into 115 games. So to listen to these guys discredit the former players and how great they were to you know, basically step on top of them to get themselves higher is really sad.
Durant sat on that podcast talking like longevity is the ultimate badge of education, preaching about playing 20 years as if that alone proves commitment. But here's what he didn't bother mentioning. Kevin Durant has played all 82 games only 3 times in his entire career. 3 full seasons in nearly 2 decades of professional basketball, and LeBron? His number is even worse. LeBron James has completed a full 82-game season once. 1 time in more than 20 years. Yet these are the same 2 players lecturing the world about commitment while sitting out games for rest, while load managing entire stretches of the season, while prioritizing their bodies over fans who paid to see them perform. Stacey King summed it up with one word: hypocrisy.
You know, the fans are there to watch me play. I want to impress that guy way up on top who probably worked his ass off to get a ticket or to get money to buy the ticket.
You really cared about the guy who sat in the top deck at the Palace in Auburn Hills to watch you when you came to Detroit?
Yeah, because I know he's probably yelling at me and I want to shut him up. So if the guys are coming to watch me play, I don't want to miss that opportunity. Now, physically, if I can't do it, then I can't do it. But physically, if I can do it and I just don't feel like doing it, that's a whole different lens.
Might not be in the team's best interest, in your best interest, to play all 82. Is that something you've thought about at all since you made the goal?
That's a goal, but yeah, we'll see.
The next day,
I'm available to go and be in the pro. If OBJ shows up, he might score 100.
Magic Johnson has spent years being diplomatic about the modern NBA, always finding something positive to say, always trying to bridge the gap between generations. But even Magic reached his breaking point after what he heard on that podcast. He explained that the difference between eras comes down to one thing: intensity. When the Lakers played the Celtics, every possession was fueled by real hatred. Magic couldn't stand Larry Bird during those battles, and Bird felt exactly the same. That animosity pushed both men to levels they never would have reached on their own. Fans watching at home could feel the tension through their screens. The entire country stopped what it was doing because every play meant something. The emotion was real. The stakes were real. And the rivalry was undeniable. Now compare that to today's NBA. Players hugging before the opening tip. Superstars vacationing together all off-season. Friends partnering on business deals. Podcast co-hosts sitting around joking about the greatest player to ever touch a basketball. Where's the rivalry in that? Where's the fire that made the sport unforgettable?
What's happened to the rivalries in today's game? Like, I mean,
they don't hate each other.
That's
they don't
what
like. See, I hated Larry and every Celtic. I really don't like you, but you're my little brother. Now I love you because you out of that green and white. That's what it was, right? You. The Celtics, Lakers hate each other, disliked each other. So it made for great TV and people tuning in. And now with, I don't know if it's AAU, I don't know what it is. Now everybody's shaking each other's hand. Everybody like each other, won't go at each other like really hard. Even that's what happened to the All-Star game, see?
Yeah.
See, the All-Star
carried into the All-Star game. Right there.
See, we hated the East.
Right.
I'm coming to bust you.
Right.
Michael, Isaiah, Dr. J. You can't have one over me. See, I'm coming to get that. Now,
see, Magic, this is what I said.
Let them score 200 to 200. What is that?
Magic tied this entire shift directly to the NBA's ratings decline, something the league keeps trying to spin or excuse. Fans can tell when players aren't fully committed to winning. They feel it when real competition gets replaced by friendships and business partnerships. And they're responding the only way they can, by turning the channel, cancelling League Pass, and choosing to spend their nights doing anything other than watching a product that doesn't feel authentic anymore. Why should fans invest 3 hours when the players themselves don't look equally invested? So when Durant and LeBron sit together on a podcast laughing and taking shots at Michael Jordan, it becomes the perfect example of everything Magic has been warning about. The buddy-buddy culture has taken over, competitiveness has taken a backseat, and the game is losing fans because of it.
You mentioned a little bit about today's game, because we had Club on here and he talked about load management. He said, I don't know what the hell that is. Where is it going? And that's number one. And number two, how do we get it back?
Even for me, I love the NBA game, but then I turn on to a game, right? And then the stars are not playing because of load management. It's hurting the game.
But you have to really play hard. Does that hurt you physically?
No, because when I play hard all the time. You know, there's no turn it on here, turn it off here. It's just 110% all the time.
You know, it's all about winning championships and winning.
This rest stuff just drives me crazy. You're playing basketball for a living, okay? I understand if you're working in a coal mine that you may need a rest day after it.
3 hours a day, right? That's your job. That's what you get paid to do as an NBA player. What are you doing the other 21 hours? I mean, to me, that's when you should be preparing for your next day of work.
Charles Barkley went even further than everyone else, because his frustration isn't limited to one podcast clip. It's aimed at what he sees as a deeper rot spreading through modern basketball. Players today care more about their personal brands than their performance. They prioritize being liked instead of being feared. They chase business deals instead of championships. To Barkley's math was brutally simple. If you're making $56 million a year and only playing 2 out of every 3 games, fans will eventually stop caring. Why should they invest their emotions or their money when the players won't invest their effort? Why should families pay hundreds for tickets when the star might decide that night is a rest day? And the broader picture Barkley painted is even more damning. NBA players earn more money than athletes in any other major sport. The league's average salary is $10 million. Most teams have 5 to 7 players making $20 to $25 million each. They play 82 games a year, half the MLB schedule, with only 3 or 4 games a week. And yet the complaints about needing rest keep getting louder. T.O. Barkley, Durant, and LeBron are the poster children of this entire mindset. The belief that simply showing up is an achievement. The idea that surviving 20 years while load managing, switching teams whenever pressure builds, and carefully controlling their image more impressive than Michael Jordan unleashing 13 straight seasons of unbroken domination.
He's a great player. I think that his legacy is complicated. You know, I don't like any guys who join super teams. I'm biased against LeBron when comparing him to Michael, joining Dwayne and those guys. Because, you know, when we have this debate, and LeBron's amazing and spectacular, but I was like, Michael didn't join anybody. He just kept getting his ass kicked and got bigger and got stronger and finally knocked the wall down. And, you know, Kevin, who's a great player, you know, other than the fact when he joined the Warriors, he hasn't been successful anywhere else. And I don't hold that against him, but he wants to be considered in that list. He's not on that list. He's not on that list. He's a great, great player, but he's not on that list. He wants to be like, wow, he's not in a GOAT conversation, because you're not, plain and simple.
Damn.
You had great success when you joined the Warriors, but not only did you not have success, you actually flamed out in those other places. You got swept last year in the playoffs. You didn't even make the play-in this year.
But do you think that's harder now for guys? There's social media and all this stuff, so they got to cut through the clutter here a bit, right?
Yeah, that's true. I like to think that if I was playing today,
right,
I like to think that no matter what, my game is going to validate whatever I try to participate in away from the game. It's really tough for the kids today, and most of them do a great job of navigating what you're talking about. That's, as long as you understand that this is always going to be what you're remembered for. Basketball and your love for basketball should always be pure. We would play this game, I've always said this, we would play this game for free. We did. And now we just so happen to get paid for it. Generationally, you know, I like to think that most of the time that people will remember Michael Jordan based on what he did on the basketball court, and not always the commercials that he did.
Everything about that logic is backwards, and it's driving fans away from a sport they once loved. Shaq's criticism came from a completely different angle, one centered on toughness, physicality, and what it actually means to dominate rather than just survive. Modern players avoid the paint, Shaq observed. They don't want to feel real contact. They'd rather float around the perimeter launching contested step-back threes than fight for position down low and demand the ball. Analytics have convinced an entire generation that three-pointers equal efficiency. But Shaq understands something no spreadsheet can measure. Playoff basketball is governed by different laws than the regular season. When every possession matters, when elimination is one loss away, toughness decides the outcome. Heart decides the outcome. The will to impose yourself on another human being decides the outcome. Jordan had that toughness in a quantity no one has matched since. He absorbed contact every single night and came back the next game even hungrier. Injuries that would sideline modern players for weeks barely slowed him down. He wasn't just skilled, was relentless, and that relentlessness is what separated him from everyone else.
So I've heard players say, including myself, I feared Mike. I've heard players in your generation say they feared Kobe. I've never really heard any players say they fear LeBron.
And then, like, the generation, they talk so much shit about the game today. And it makes you go back and watch the game back then, and it makes you not even want to appreciate it no more like I did when I was a kid. Like, it's like...
Durant is 7 feet tall but plays like a perimeter guard, refusing to use the size advantage that should make him unstoppable. Instead of punishing defenders in the paint, he drifts to the outside for comfortable jump shots. LeBron entered the league with physical tools that should have made him the most dominant defender of his generation, yet he chooses when to exert effort. He conserves energy. He calculates which moments matter and which ones don't. That's not championship DNA. That's survival instinct dressed up as longevity. And Shaq sees the difference instantly.
But you know, our game is supposed to be more structured. Well, this game we're watching now, I don't know what we're watching now.
They say, yeah, I said the 90s and 80s was way harder than this. You guys, this is like kind of soft.
Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce brought up something most legends never talk about: preparation, conditioning, and why today's NBA players simply cannot survive a full season anymore. Garnett says modern players think they're in shape until they talk to someone who actually trained the old school way. Back in KG's era, practices were daily, intense, and real. Full speed, full contact, 5-on-5 battles every single day. Hours of work that built the conditioning needed to play all 82 games and then grind through deep playoff runs without breaking down. Today, players show up, do a 30 to 60 minute session with a personal trainer at half speed, skip the unglamorous conditioning work, and then expect to perform at full intensity for 2 hours on game night. When their bodies fail them, they blame the schedule instead of their preparation. Garnett explained exactly where the issue begins: the calves. Your calf muscles are the foundation of every movement on the court: sprinting, sliding, jumping, exploding. Modern players skip basic calf raises. They skip the boring, fundamental work that prevents injuries, then they rely on load management to survive the problems they created, and the numbers expose the contradiction perfectly. Kevin Durant talks about longevity, but has only completed 3 full seasons. LeBron talks about discipline, but has completed exactly one. Michael Jordan, meanwhile, played all 82 games multiple times, logged massive minutes, and showed up every single night out of sheer respect for the fans and for the competition. The gap between what today's stars say and what they do couldn't be clearer. Mathematically, Durant and LeBron's argument collapses before intangibles are even mentioned. Between them, they've played 39 seasons, nearly 3 times Jordan's career. Almost 40 years of basketball from 2 of the most gifted players ever. And what did those 4 decades produce? Longevity doesn't equal greatness when you accomplish less with more time than someone who dominated completely in fewer years. And then comes the irony. Kevin Durant calling anyone a quitter. After losing to the Warriors in the 2016 Western Conference Finals, he made what many view as the weakest move in sports history, joining the 73-win team that had just eliminated him. Golden State didn't need him. He needed them, because the pressure of leading a team proved too heavy. Then came Brooklyn, his chance to lead his own team. It failed. He demanded a trade. Phoenix was another opportunity. Another talented roster. And within a few seasons he wanted out again. Yet this is the player mocking Jordan for stepping away after his father was murdered. After 3 straight championships, LeBron's career follows a similar pattern with different packaging. Cleveland got hard, so Miami looked easier. Miami declined, so a return to Cleveland made sense. Cleveland got uncomfortable after Kyrie left, so Los Angeles became the next escape. Adversity hits, LeBron finds the exit. Neither Durant nor LeBron has the credibility to laugh at Jordan's choices when their own histories evaporate under scrutiny. Jordan's philosophy was entirely different. Longevity meant nothing to him. Perfection meant everything. Every season was about winning, every game was about dominating. Every possession was about giving everything he had, regardless of the physical cost. Jordan himself said it, burning out just meant burning out. If that shortened his career, he'd retire and play golf somewhere warm. He didn't sit around planning a year 20, he cared about being the best right now. And that mentality is exactly why his legacy stands untouched. Decades later, worrying about year 20 never crossed Jordan's mind. His only priority was being the best. Winning consumed his entire focus. Building a legacy on dominance, not durability, guided every decision he ever made. And that mindset is exactly why his legacy remains untouchable decades after retirement. When NBC needed someone to help fix the cultural problems in today's NBA, they didn't call LeBron, they called Michael Jordan. Even after more than 20 years away from the court, his name still carries more weight than any active player. Jordan doesn't need podcasts to defend his greatness. The championships defend it, the finals MVPs defend it. The 10 scoring titles defend it. His work speaks loudly enough without him saying a word. Meanwhile, Durant tried to save face online after the backlash hit hard. He tweeted that he'd talk about Jordan's retirements every day for the rest of his life, daring people to respond. And every single time he does, fans immediately remind him of everything he refuses to acknowledge: the murder of Jordan's father, the grief, and the 3 championships completed before stepping away. Then they remind him of his own track record, the team hopping, the failures without Curry beside him, the burner accounts, the load management, the exits every time the pressure gets heavy. When you disrespect genuine greatness, the consequences stack up fast. It exposes insecurities you hoped no one would notice. It proves you don't belong in the conversation you're trying to join, so tearing others down becomes your only option. Jordan never trashed the legends who came before him. Kobe respected the players who built the league he walked into. They honored basketball's history because they understood they were standing on someone else's foundation. They built their legacies by Winning not by debating other people's decisions on a podcast. Every NBA legend who responded said the same thing in different words. History cannot be rewritten by people who didn't create it. Mocking the trauma, sacrifice, and pressure endured by the greatest player ever doesn't elevate you, it only exposes how far beneath him you actually are. Longevity isn't greatness, surviving isn't dominating. And disrespecting the legends who built the very game you profit from guarantees you'll get humbled. When they finally choose to respond, Durant and LeBron thought a few baseball jokes would be harmless. Instead, they unified NBA icons against them: Magic, Barkley, Shaq, Garnett, Pierce, Kenny Smith, all repeating the same message: respect the history. Respect the sacrifice. Respect the game. Because true greatness doesn't require convincing. Championships speak for themselves, the MVPs speak for themselves. Impact that echoes for decades speaks for itself. Everything that podcast revealed is simple. Durant and LeBron know they aren't on Jordan's level. Changing the measuring stick is easier than meeting the standard. But it didn't work. Greatness recognizes greatness, and everyone watching can clearly see who measures up and who falls short. No number of seasons played will change the math. No podcast episode will rewrite the history. No load management program will shrink the gap. If you think these legends were right to call out the disrespect, hit that like button. If you're tired of modern players trying to redefine what greatness means, drop a comment below. And if you want the real truth about what's happening in basketball, subscribe right now, because this story is nowhere near finished.